Hey guys, I'm Daniela Hernandez, and today I will be presenting my OB in the Movies project for Dr. Miller's organizational behavior class. The movie I chose, as you can see, is Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. It was created and directed by George Lucas, and it came out in 1977 and is a total classic. Now, let's get into the presentation. I hope you guys enjoy. First, let's start off with a quick plot summary of what happens in the film. The movie starts off with an Imperial Star Destroyer attacking a rebel convoy because they're searching for stolen plans that could lead to the demise of the Death Star. Before the Imperial troops are able to capture her, Princess Leia is able to hide the stolen plans inside a droid named R2-D2. R2-D2 and another droid, C-3PO, are able to escape and land on a desert planet where they are captured and then sold to a farmer. The farmer's nephew, Luke Skywalker, is then led by R2-D2 to find an old Jedi Knight named Obi-Wan Kenobi to deliver Princess Leia's cry for help. The two Jedis and the two droids then head off to find a pilot to take them to the planet of Alderaan in order to deliver the stolen plans to the Rebel Alliance. They soon come acquainted with Han Solo, a pilot, who's accompanied by his trustworthy companion, Chewbacca. They all then go aboard Solo's ship, and while looking for the planet of Alderaan, they get captured by the Death Star. Once inside the Death Star, they have to find a way to escape, and while in there, they learn that Princess Leia is on board the ship, and they must save her before she is killed. Eventually, they team up and find a way out and are able to escape with Princess Leia. This is after Obi-Wan Kenobi faces Darth Vader in a duel and dies. They soon make it to the Rebel base, and with the stolen plans, they are able to devise a plan on how to take down the Death Star. This is all while the Death Star is charging up to basically annihilate the entire Rebel base. With Luke, Han, Obi-Wan's spirit, and R2-D2 teaming up at a critical moment during the battle between the Rebels and the Imperial troops, they are able to blow up the Death Star and win this battle against the Empire. Now let's meet the main protagonist of the movie. First is Luke Skywalker. He starts off being a young, simple farmer who has a dream of escaping his boring planet to join the rebels. He is practically an orphan, living with just his aunt and uncle up until the moment they die. He soon learns about the Force, Jedis, and his own father's past. This leads him into becoming a Jedi in training under Obi-Wan Kenobi's mentoring. Princess Leia, also known as Leia Organa, is an Imperial Senate, and she is the young princess of the royal family of Alderaan. She is on board the Rebel convoy because she is also part of the Rebel Alliance. Her goal, along with the goal of the rebellion, is to restore peace to the galaxies by trying to defeat the Imperial troops led by Darth Vader. Han Solo is a young captain of the infamous Millennium Falcon. He smuggles, swindles, and even is a mercenary if the job calls for it. Lastly, Obi-Wan Kenobi is an old Jedi Knight who is in hiding because he's one of the last Jedis in the galaxy. Now let's meet them. Now both main antagonists from this film are part of the Imperial forces. Both Darth Vader and General Tarkin are in charge aboard the Death Star with the goal of destroying the Rebel Alliance. Darth Vader was a Jedi turned to the dark side of the Force and is on the Imperial forces side in order to gain control of all the galaxies. Throughout the film, women are greatly underrepresented. The only female character that predominantly shows up in the film and takes up one of the main protagonist roles is Princess Leia. Other than Leia, no other women are really shown throughout the movie. This film prioritizes male dominance in society through the main protagonist and antagonists, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, General Tarkin, and Darth Vader. The beginning of the movie greatly emphasizes that by depicting the typical woman in a man's story. This stereotype is shown through Princess Leia being portrayed as a damsel in distress for the first half of the movie. She is captured by Darth Vader and imprisoned, only to wait for the two male protagonists to come to her rescue. Once she is liberated from her jail cell, we are able to see a much more guns-blazing attitude from her when she is the one giving out orders and taking charge when trying to escape. Although the damsel in distress character isn't depicted throughout the entire film, the importance of Leia's role in the film diminishes, and then the focus shifts heavily onto Luke Skywalker's story of becoming a Jedi and defeating the Death Star. The first OB concept in the movie is the portrayal of a team's development as they go through Tuckman's stages in team development. These 4 stages are forming, storming, norming, and performing. Forming is the first stage and typically consists of team members being polite and friendly while introducing themselves to the team. The second stage is where team members begin fighting for the leadership position. This stage is where most conflict arises and there are clashes among team members. Norming is where the team starts to work well together, they establish ground rules, and they share responsibility. The members also learn to value and respect one another during this stage. After this, the 4th stage comes into play. Performing is where they start seeing results and the team has confidence and enthusiasm. The first stage in the movie happens when Obi-Wan brings Han Solo to Luke Skywalker. Solo, along with his partner Chewbacca, are introduced as the pilots that Obi-Wan and Luke are hiring in order to get them to the planet of Alderaan. This is their first formal introduction to each other. During the storming stage, Princess Leia and Han Solo butt heads when they are trying to escape the Death Star. They fight over what should be done in order to get out. They later fight over the fact that Han isn't interested in fighting for the rebellion and all he wants is money. This is where the main conflicts within the group emerge from. The norming stage in the movie takes place in different scenes. Leia delivered the plans of the Death Star with R2-D2's help, and the rest is left in the execution of the pilots. They get told their responsibilities from the rebellion commander when he's giving out instructions to the pilots. Luke takes the role of becoming a pilot to help destroy the Death Star, while Han initially decides to not go on the suicidal mission and then returns to help at a critical moment. The 4th stage of performing happens when the team is able to defeat the Death Star because they were able to contribute and work together. Once they were able to win the battle, they completed what the team's goal for the specific battle was. They still have more battles ahead in order to defeat the Empire and restore peace to the galaxy. In leading the 4 stages of team development, Ken Blanchard explains how high-performing teams rely on individual contributions from all team members who are in a cohesive unit and doesn't randomly happen by throwing superstars together. He also explains how leaders are needed to get through each stage in order to have a high-performing team. Obi-Wan was the leader during the forming stage, Princess Leia was the leader during the storming stage, Luke and Solo were the leaders during the norming stage, and all of them combined were the leaders together during the performing stage. The team depicted in Star Wars was high-performing because they were able to get through each stage with leadership from different members, and at the end, they all became leaders and were able to win the battle. The second OB concept that was depicted throughout the movie is diversity among the main characters. They all differed in age, gender, race, religion, income, and experience. There was a big age difference between Obi-Wan Kenobi and the rest of them. He was the eldest member, and he was the only one with plenty of Jedi and Force knowledge. Princess Leia differed from the rest because she was the only girl in the group, and she was richer than the rest of the members because of her title as princess and senator. Han Solo was the one who had a lot of experience as a pilot, and he was a big skeptic of the Force, while Luke and Obi-Wan truly believed in the power of the Force. Luke was a farmer and therefore didn't have much money. He also had some experience flying his speeder, and therefore that reflected when he was the pilot of an X-Wing. He was also strong with the Force and becomes a Jedi in training. The cognitive diversity hypothesis states how all these differences in experiences, expertise, and perspectives can contribute to the group's result in creativity, problem-solving, innovation, and performance. The diversity hypothesis is shown in the movie when their diversity helps them win the battle. Leia's expertise position in the Rebel Alliance helps them get there and deliver the plans. Han Solo's and Luke's experience with being pilots helped them blast the Death Star. R2-D2 was able to fix Luke's X-Wing really quick when he was blasted, and Obi-Wan's experience with the Force helped him communicate and guide Luke when he was being chased. In a Harvard Business Review by Allison Reynolds and David Lewis, the main argument from the authors is that teams who are specifically cognitively diverse can solve problems much faster than homogeneous teams, or teams that simply differ in gender, ethnicity, or age. They explained data from a specific research where 6 teams differed in diversity, and those that were more cognitively diverse had higher performance. Because of this, they emphasized how thinking differently should be encouraged, and everybody should just be themselves in order to get better performance. This supports the movie and the cognitive diversity hypothesis because it goes to show how differences in experience, expertise, and perspectives can positively impact a team's performance. The next organizational behavior concept shown throughout the movie is motivation. Motivation is basically a force inside or outside of one's body which energizes, directs, and sustains human behavior. There are many different reasons as to what motivates a specific person because everyone is different, and therefore there are many theories explaining different reasons for motivation within individuals. The learned needs theory, created by David McClelland, states that there are 3 needs that result in motivation: need for affiliation, need for achievement, and need for power. Need for affiliation is when someone is motivated due to the desire to establish and maintain friendly relationships. In the movie, Luke visits Obi-Wan and learns very interesting and intriguing things about being a Jedi, and Obi-Wan offers to be his mentor. At first, Luke was weary because he couldn't just leave his aunt and uncle, but he later finds out that they were killed by stormtroopers searching for R2-D2. Because he no longer had anyone in his home planet, he wanted to maintain his friendship with Obi-Wan so that he could teach him the way of the Jedi. Luke Skywalker portrayed that he had a need for affiliation, and that's what motivated him to go with Obi-Wan on his mission to deliver the stolen plans to the rebels. The need for achievement is when someone is motivated because they want to excel at what they're doing and accomplish their goal. Han Solo showed that this need was what motivated him in the movie because he only wanted to achieve his mission of being the pilot due to the fact that he'd get money and be able to pay Jabba the Hutt for his debts. Throughout the movie, Solo displayed that this is what motivated him because he repeatedly told the group he wasn't going to do more than what he was paid for, especially when he could get killed. The third and final need for power, can be defined as someone who wants to control and influence others. There are 2 sides to this need power: personal power seeker and social power seeker. A personal power seeker would be someone who wants to control others in order to dominate them, and they want others to do what they say even if it's something wrong. General Tarkin displayed that he was a personal power seeker, and what motivated him was to be in control of people. When trying to get information out of Princess Leia, Tarkin threatened her by saying that if she didn't give him the rebel base location, he would annihilate her home planet of Alderaan. Although Leia gave General Tarkin a location, he still blew up her home planet. He displayed his need for power by trying to control Leia and influence her into giving him the information that he wanted. On the other hand, a social power seeker is someone who wants to influence others to achieve a group goal, not some personal agenda. Princess Leia demonstrates that this is what motivates her. She is part of the Rebel Alliance, and throughout the movie, she is motivated to help the group of rebels achieve their goal of getting rid of the evil imperialists. Because of her passion towards the cause, she influences and motivates Luke and Obi-Wan to help her save the rebellion. She does this through the iconic Deep Felt video sent to Obi-Wan Kenobi, where she says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." Her video doesn't only get Obi-Wan to help her in defeating the Empire, but also young Luke Skywalker, who joined the cause to save her and the galaxy as well. In another Harvard Business Review, David McClelland and David Burnham explain how power is the greatest and the most effective motivator out of the 3 needs. They emphasize how a person's need for power, specifically when they're a social power seeker, is the most important motivator for a successful manager. They also show findings that lead to conclusions on how these types of managers create high morale because they produce a great sense of organizational clarity and team spirit. These managers can influence and motivate their subordinates without having to use coercion or authoritative management styles, and therefore are much more effective. Even though the concepts presented in the movie typically have a positive effect on an organization's behavior, there can be practical implications to each one. For team development, there are things that cause a team to regress in stages. Not all teams go through all the stages. They could fall apart before getting to the norming or performing stage. Events such as changes in goals or addition of new team members can lead a team's development to regress all the way back to the first stage. This regression could lead to more conflicts within a group and lead to ineffectiveness. Blanchard's article also emphasized this idea that without effective leadership at each stage, a team cannot reach a high performance level as well. If at a certain stage they lack effective leadership, they could possibly not progress on the team development curve, and it may even cause them to regress. Similarly, diversity can cause conflict sometimes, and this can lead to unproductive behavior in organizations. The cognitive diversity hypothesis has research that has indicated that cognitive diversity can help a team's performance, but there is also research that shows the complete opposite. It generally takes time for diverse team members to get along and to find an effective way to work together. There is research that indicates that during earlier stages of group functioning, homogeneous groups outperform heterogeneous groups because they get along from the beginning and have a lot more in common, which means less conflict within team members. Therefore, diversity can be a big problem for teams to get through, and some teams cannot get past major differences, which leads them to being ineffective and unable to perform well. As for motivation, there is no just one reason of motivation because different things motivate different people. You have to understand what motivates people in order to manage them in an effective manner. Without knowing what motivates an individual, you can't effectively manage or lead them. A specific implication to McClelland's needs theory is that although social power seekers should be the ones in managerial positions, those who have high need for power may get to these managerial jobs due to their personal need for power. This could lead to detrimental effects within an organization. To conclude it all, Star Wars: A New Hope helped emphasize some important OB concepts of team development, diversity, and motivation. All these concepts happen within organizations, and Star Wars was able to portray them in an effective manner within a non-traditional organizational/business setting. Although there are practical implications to most organizational behavior concepts, it's important to gain a better understanding of them to learn from them. This is important because it greatly impacts an organization's behavior, and by knowing more about these behaviors, managers can more effectively manage them so that it's a successful work environment for everyone. Overall, organizations can learn how to be more effective leaders during team development stages, promote diversity among groups to improve performance, and have leaders that are motivated to influence and motivate others towards the group goals. To conclude, this is the last slide, and it just simply shows my references. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you found it interesting. This is the